Hello, my friends. Welcome to the show. It's me, your friend, Rocky Outcrop, and we're going to be taking a look at the charts. Coming in for that monthly close, we'll be taking a look at the likes of XRP, BTC, uh, GME, AMC, stonks and cronks, as I've been calling it. Stocks and crypto in today's show. Hope you're having a fantastic day out there. Everybody enjoying the slightly more relaxed day of trading today, right? I hope you're doing very well. Good to see you, K Duck. Good evening, my friend. Good to see you, Tino Z. Zip. And to everybody else. That thumbnail, hey, something else. That's why I was actually planning on preparing. Yay, says Randy. Good to see you. Was actually planning on like trying to prepare for this episode today in some manner or another. And then I got to making that thumbnail, and well, I just could hardly stop. It's a work of art. It's a work of art. Can you imagine a stream like this? You know, we'll have at some point 500 concurrent viewers or something like that, or 1,000 concurrent viewers, right? And then maybe it'll get suggested on the homepage, and it'll be like maybe I'll still have like thumbnails like that at the time, right? Wouldn't that be funny? Wouldn't it be funny to see that? Everybody that watches this, of course, sees that coming up in the minute will think, that's rubbish. We know better, though. Right, good to see you in there, Fed, Jose. Good to see you, Jose. Good to see you, Phil. Good to see you, Video Vandal. And it's good to see you, Ty. Good to see you, All Saint. Good to see you, Eddie. Good to see you, Trade Spotting. Nice to see you there with your nice new icon avatar as well. Good to have you here, Jeff. Nice to see you. Nice to see you, Susie. Wow, excellent. Well, it feels like a full house, right? It feels good to me. I've got this set to top chat. Oh, jeepers. I'm going to have to move that to live chat so I get to see everybody's chat. Everybody's chat. Whew, that's a bit more. Cool, excellent. Nice to see you, Spencer. A live stream. I wasn't expecting this. I wasn't expecting this. Yeah, welcome everybody. Everybody, welcome. So it's just a chilled live stream today. Let's try and figure out some stuff on the charts together, shall we? If I just bring the charts up on my own screen, I can see them. What are we looking at here at the minute? Oh, Ripple. I've got that open. Wouldn't it be good if we could do some charts together? Wouldn't it be nice to do some charting? Nice to see a little bit of a kind of push happening in a couple of different cryptocurrencies over the last while. Go up towards the 4 hour chart here. You can see that this effort here, SHIB, whatever that is, somebody asked me to take a look at it recently enough in the Discord, and I've been fascinated with it ever since. Almost tempted enough to hit on its website and see what it actually is all about. Almost tempted enough for that. And we'll take a look at Bitcoin and all the rest of it. But I thought, we've got lots of time here this evening, but I'm going to keep it rather concise if I can. So we obviously, as the drawings pop up, we obviously covered quite a lot of detail on the likes of GME and AMC over the last couple of weeks. One of the things that hasn't been looked at, though, is the monthly chart. It's the monthly chart. So I thought I would bring up the monthly charts. We could look at it. What is this drawing here? Does this drawing even make sense? What have I got on there? Is that one of my fishermen? Maybe one of my fishermen. Yeah. So we'll hide the drawings for just now. This chart looks, this is the AMC chart. This chart looks very, very good, obviously, in terms of how well it's performed over this month and this, a few months ago, we did really well as well. And as you can see here, there was a kind of little triangle, looks quite nice on the monthly chart. And then we popped up more or less the amount that the triangle here would suggest that you would pop up towards the top side. Over the next while, this could suggest a couple of things. We could easily see follow through here and crack on towards the top side. Could easily happen. We could also see, a little bit of consolidation here. The key thing for us really is to kind of stay above the $20 price point. I mean, that would be absolutely spiffing on this one. Coming in for this close here, obviously it engulfs, all of this area where we had that triangular sort of consolidation. It obviously engulfs that, and just piles on to the good news, etc. everywhere. Now, we do have to be aware of the fact that there is this general area above us in the charts that we have not made it through. It'd be quite interesting to see the contrast with how GME looks. Maybe I'll bring up GME, show that on the monthly chart here just as well, just real quick. So as you can see, looking absolutely splendiferous, whoop, right the way towards the top side. Exactly, doing the same sort of thing here where we've had this period of consolidation and it's this sort of triangular looking effect here. So I wonder, could we see something rise this up towards, could we see this happen in the next month? Wouldn't that be nice in a sense? If it did happen that way round where we had a sort of an AMC end of month, GME start of month, figure out how we kind of pick up come a few weeks away. That'd be pretty good, wouldn't it? I think everybody would get totally hyped if that was the case. Well, that'd be cool. So we've seen this really positive close here, obviously as well engulfing ambulances. Honk, they say. Obviously engulfing the previous the previous candle here. And if you were to add these together and kind of stack them up the way, it doesn't quite take out the body, of what we had over here at the start of the year. The closure of those bodies, and that's the area that we're looking to, right? Isn't it? Of course. So you get that feeling like if we pushed above 320 and went towards the top side thereafter, you could start to look towards those $1,000 targets, etc. And if you were to kind of think about this in a sort of, well, I'll just draw it in so that it's all visual and all for folks, like that side in terms of a triangle and like something along these sorts of lines, and just kind of roughly sketching it out. Not even take, like, I could do it in numerous different ways. That could push us all the way up towards that. This is the logarithmic chart, by the way. This could push us all the way up towards that 700 area, and then everything else beyond is, of course, within touching distance, and it's a whole new paradigm, etc., 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 etc. But could we even go on and actually, fulfill the sort of visual aspect of that and go up that much in terms of the logarithmic increase? And of course, that would take us up towards the sort of 1,500 and all the rest of it. But we don't need to get too carried away. Suffice it to say that we've done good. Suffice it's sufficient to say that we've done well here. And we've had this nice bounce off of the moving average on the RSI. So looking at those then, two of them side by sidicles. Here, that's GameStop. And of course, GameStop will stick AMC up on the right just so we can kind of have a wee sort of gander at it. Now, this isn't any sort of massive big theory or anything that I'm putting out there. I'm not like trying to say anything in particular. I'm just just kind of just looking at things together. This is just a chilled out session, just chilled out, just kind of talking about things, taking the time here kind of just to chat about things slightly differently, just slightly differently, kind of thinking about how things, go. Trying to think about how things go. So you can see we've done this sort of body wise, this is more or less expected. So bringing us up towards the $700 area, that would be nice. But that type of idea is what I'm looking at, of course, as well with this one. Now, of course, this is all happening in sort of all-time high territories, etc. This one wasn't, yada, yada, yada. We knew about the levels on the way up the way, and there was a previous price action to show us, the way, give us a wee bit of a treasure map. But what we have here, of course, is all-time high territory. So we're having to look at it ourselves, figure out these things as we go. Nice one. So, Hun Chun, Rocky, we missed you and Jamie over this long weekend. Let's get chilled and or hyped for tomorrow. Yeah, well, I'm talking about things in a sort of fairly hypish type of way. If you could go up towards $700 in the month of June on GME and that sort of thing. But I'm talking about it here chilled, right? Talking about it here chilled and just being hype free about it, not even sticking a hypey style thumbnail out there. Let me know in the chat, by the way, what you think of that. What you think of that thumbnail. Hydrate Rocky. That long hair can't be good in this weather. Yeah, man. By the way, I like to keep everybody informed as to the latest flavor that I'm on. This is something I've done for a long time now on the channel. So everybody out there, I'm sure you were chomping at the bit to know that is actually orange flavor. We're on the orange. Most recent flavors have been peach. Similar color, different taste, of course. So that's what that is. How you doing? Y'all good? Says Peter. I'm doing pretty good, mate. Doing pretty good. Just here having a chilled TA session. The glue. Everybody here just chilling out together. Oh, woof, says, hello, good game. What was that guy called in Blackadder? Anyway, not asking for financial advice, but if you had 10k to gamble, would you go AMC or GME? My heart says GME. I try not to think about things in such a binary way. You know, it would be nice if it'd be nice to have, you know, skin in the game on both is kind of more or less how I would think about it. Nevertheless, you're asking, you know, what's likely to happen over the next wee while, and if you just kind of think about things like if the prices did go up towards $600, what's that the kind of the equivalent of? Oh, look at that, Susie! Hype in the chat, hype in the chat. This is quality. You know, that's would be cool. We've had a nice rise up so far of 170%, etc. You know, you're looking to see can we get this like the next chunk up and go up towards things like $50-$60, etc. It's on the cards. It can absolutely happen. So from a technical analysis point of view, you know, you could consider yourself. We're just looking at things from the monthly time frame, right? So I'm just going to answer you under the context of what we're looking at. Okay, and just say what's your setup, etc. here, and what's your setup, etc. here. Well, you know, this is from a point of view of you're looking to see maybe you're playing a breakout, so maybe you're waiting for confirmation, etc. on this. You know, maybe you're only getting in at certain times. Maybe you know, so what you're saying just to gamble with right now, and the answer in terms of just to gamble with right now is that, like, well, I mean, if you're looking for a gamble, you've got like the 50-50 from the TA point of view idea of like some sort of triangular type shape here, etc. And you just gamble on the breakout of this one, because you're saying what would you be gambling on? So that would be, I suppose, I guess in that sense, GME. But like, I mean. That's like not how life operates. In fact, when you're a trader, you know, you have to remember that you don't actually have someone putting a gun to your head saying, you do this, eat a bow. You know, it's not like that. I wonder if anyone gets that reference. But what you do have is a limited set of choices available to you at any given time, you know. And if you want to take sort of your power into your own hands, then you should try not to think about things in terms of what do I need to do right now, etc. And instead think about it more along the lines of picking your own particular battlefield, your own particular choices, etc. So, you know, there's a lot of people out there, for instance, who like I was trying to intimate when I was saying you would perhaps you'd be waiting for confirmation, etc. You know, be a lot of people out there that would be thinking to themselves, well, that is a gamble to think about it from that point of view, blah blah blah. I would rather wait and see how things go, because maybe we get in at 180, you know, etc., and then we get to go towards the top side. That'd be a big sort of difference in sort of discount that you'd be looking at there, getting 10-20% off, etc. So it's absolutely not financial advice, you know, and the strategy, etc., that you would be choosing doesn't, you know, it shouldn't be along the lines of like, oh, just do this now. So it would have to be what, you know, would work for anybody at any given time. Blah 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 blah. You've got very limited choices in trading, really, and you are in this to mitigate against risk, and perseverance and preservation of capital is your mission, and allowing kind of profits, etc., to take care of themselves should kind of start to be how you move towards in terms of your trading. And on that basis, I wouldn't personally just give up any choices that I had if somebody were to make me do something like that. In a sense, I'd rather play my own game, dance to my own tune. Because there are so limited choices that you don't go giving up advantages unnecessarily. GME is pronounced the same as Jamie. Just saying, says doppelganger. Nice. I mean, I'm surprised it took the doppelganger himself to point that one out. Come on, chat. Just kidding. I think the first one to really popularize that was actually Ape Andy himself. In fact, the most relaxing man. So this is a sort of chilled TA session. Let's give a shout out to Ape Andy. It's like ASMR, says a lot of people who are interested in those two stocks right there. We will open tomorrow? ? Yes, we will open tomorrow. We will open. I hope you're talking about Christmas. Don't get me excited, Jackie. It better be Christmas tomorrow now that you've said that. Ho ho. Hello, guys, says Julius. Excellent to see you, my friend. Excellent to see you. Hearts from Kim Robbins, thank you, Kim, and hearts from Ty, and all other stuff like that. I wonder who your heart, and I hope that's if your heart says GME. So that's what you're talking about there, not for me. Right? Well, should have known better. Yeah. Here's a request. If you're watching now, hit the like button. That would be super awesome, wouldn't it? Just show the algorithm what's what with our fantastic thumbnail creation abilities. And imagine we got to 100 likes on that thumbnail. Pretty special indeed. Right, so we were going to talk about some other things like cryptocurrency as well. So this is what a good cut few months looks like, etc. Let's look at what a not so good few months look like, I suppose, is the next thing. So always stick in the box on the left. Let's bring up Bitcoin on the box on the left. BTC USDT. So not such a good month from Bitcoin over there. Okie doke. And on the right hand side, so what should we bring up? Should we bring up something like Ethereum? I mean, I suppose they're the two largest of them. Slightly different picture here in terms of the recovery from Ethereum post decline, if you will. Obviously, the grand picture showing you that Bitcoin, of course, had an extraordinary rise up for a big period of time past its previous all-time highs, etc. Along the way, Ethereum not so dramatically far past its previous highs. That monthly close there, dodging around the all-time high. It better be Christmas time tomorrow. Jack Ali promised us that we'd be opening tomorrow, and I think he meant our Christmas presents. This cryptocurrency closing candle is going to be red. Let's face facts. The monthly close is coming up in about 3 hours. So this is happening. There has been a big pullback in cryptocurrency land. Looking at it from a Fibonacci perspective, we can see it's above the 236. That's not quite so bad as it otherwise could be. Maybe we'll see something similar on Ethereum. I'd say so. I mean, that's a doji. After all, let's draw it on those who we're all equal to everyone. Oh, what do you know? It's also above the 236 over here, right? If the things do drop down, then maybe they go down to the 618s, etc. And we know that those are quite a ways away from where we are right now. So what other perspectives are there to take a look at things messing around on the monthly charts? Well, how about we add on the Bollinger Bands? Bollinger Bands, just BB, right? Let's cut to the chase. Bollinger Bands on Ethereum and the same on Bitcoin. Yeah. What is the Bollinger Band showing us again? Anybody out there? Anybody out there want to just give a quick diagnosis so that everyone can follow along with this particular bit of the old analysis that we're doing over here? I don't know if that's necessarily all that visible to everyone at home, so I'll make these things a couple of different colors, right? We'll make the upper line white, the lower line white. We'll make both of those lines a bit thicker. There's quiz times coming up in our chilled TA session, so I'll be asking people to name what these components are. When I ask, if you know the answer immediately, don't dive in straight away. Let other people answer. Okay, just for a second see. So can anybody tell me in the chit chat what that yellow line actually is? What component? What does this yellow line? What is this yellow line? What component of the Bollinger Bands is that yellow line? What is it? How's it calculated? Something like that. Anything like that. That's all good, right? Okay. Troublemaker Kitty got BTC for 22 million. That's cool. Sounds like a nice sentence. David, what does chat think about the recent eToro revelations, re the number of shareholders and votes? What do you think about that, chat? Well, let David know about that in there. Aloha Mofos says, Hi Rocky is singing this to everyone in an Auckland cafes. I forgot my headphones. Nice one, excellent. So we got a good guess in there from Eddie, the sort of an average, and that's right, of course. Kim jumping in with an average as well. We had All Saints saying, "I no friggin' clue, man. My memory has been boxed away." And Peter here with the answer, of course, the 20 period moving average. Thanks so much. Great, excellent. Okay, so that's the 20 period moving average, right? And the Bollinger Bands has these two bands up above it. The upper and lower band, can anybody guess what they are? And actually, it doesn't really matter, right? It doesn't really matter. Skip the quiz, right? We'll skip the quiz. That's just a couple of standard deviations, right? Just a couple of old standard deviations away from the old yellow line, right? So you've got the yellow line and the yellow line. Whoops. Control yourself. The yellow line is, of course, what determines then where these white lines will be positioned. So the 20 period moving average is something that a lot of people look to. On the monthly chart it is quite broad time frame stuff. You'll be looking in here and saying, well, it's above 20 grand at the minute. Where that is, of course, is where the previous all-time high was coming in at over there in 2017. So we've done very well in terms of the broad term picture. Like the old hodling sort of community of Bitcoin out there actually is very happy. A large proportion of the people who've ever bought Bitcoin ever are very happy to see the prices are above 20,000. And that's fairly meaningful, I suppose, really, in terms of like how far we've come. So that's very good. Well done to everybody to have managed to have got it so that it looks to be that unless we have a significant crash down the way in the next 3 hours, which isn't likely, then we are looking like we've got that. So that's a significant thing. Now we could go towards the middle there. What we want to see, of course, is coming back up towards the top end. Just bearing in mind, though, that if we don't continue to trace that towards the top side, then things don't look so neat. Equally here, then, I suppose we might as well make this thing look the same over there on the old Ethereum Bob's chart. We can see where that 20 period weekly, 20 period moving average is on the monthly charts. That goes back 20 months, of course. If I could speak. Good one. Right. Cool. We can see that we're tracing this towards the top side here then as a result of that incline that we've had then that results in this doji. So what's essentially happened here on the Ethereum charts over the period of the last month is that, and like many months before, is that we moved outside of the Bollinger Band and then we've come back down here to give it a proper retest. And ideally, we would continue to trace towards the top side as we have done in the past. Now, in this sense that over here, back in September 2020, we did see a bit of inflection around that $450 prices dropping back down. We dropped good, pretty much 50% of the prices dropped off there. And then they continued towards the top side. Very broad perspective we could look down to the hole that the previous wick dug for us, and think about how moving down that far wouldn't really necessarily change the grand picture of things over the period of the next few months, should we be able to then continue to do what we have done for over a year at this stage, which is tracing the Bollinger Band towards the top side, which is exactly what you want to see. Exactly what you see. It's lots of scares along the way with that one. So Bitcoin not looking quite in the same shape there. Dropping down to the weekly time frame, you can see then how the interaction between this on the 20 period weekly moving average, coming down here and touching this thing, absolutely typical in a broad term trend perspective, looking back all the way over the period of last year. Same thing then on Bitcoin. How does this thing look over the period of last year, in terms of not over the period of last year, yada yada, over the period of this? We've gone all the way down to the lower end of the Bollinger Band. So the way that this looks at the minute is that the onus is on Bitcoin itself to move towards the top side. Otherwise, from a charting point of view, over the next period of time, we could see some form of alt season. That could happen. This needs to move up the way. And just with a simple demonstration, looking at the sort of 20 period moving average, this has done what we can predict as being fairly typical and survived. This, of course, hasn't. How would this look if we were to do the same thing with regards to the GME and AMC charts? Since a lot of the audience right now, of course, will be familiar with the GME and AMC charts more so than the cryptocurrencies, just so you can get a sort of perspective on what it looks like to be in a very broad, long-term bull market, which has lasted for a year, and along the way, lots of sort of movement, etc. Now, what I want to do here is save this thing properly so that I can actually duplicate this chart and it work, so then I don't have to add the Bollinger Bands and style them again the same way. Is it going to work? Yeah, great. So that's easier for me. So I can just bring up GME on the left again here and AMC on the right. And then we can maybe sort of kind of transpose some of that information, I suppose, across the way a little bit. Let's just see how the chat's getting on in the meantime. Hey, gang, says Sanjo Kojak. Hey, Scott, good to see you, man. Yes, thanks everybody for participating in that quiz there. That was a good laugh. David, I have shares on eToro, so I was happy I could vote, and I think eToro counts for a lot of shares altogether. Yeah, great. That is good. It really is. It's what we want to see. It's what we've been asking for. So we want to get those numbers as high as possible, kind of. Daedalus talking about the shareholders as well. According to recent posts on Superstonk, eToro shareholders figures have revealed that there are 89 million shareholders. I would like you to clarify that. What does that mean? Does that mean there's 89 million shareholders on eToro alone? That's kind of what that sentence implies. Seems like a lot of users, right? I don't know. Whatever. Hello, host. I'm watching now in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Ah, cool. Excellent. Meg love. Shout out everyone. Nice one. Thanks so much. That's cool. Tings 31. What do I remember from that? So you've got what's it you say to, what is it? What's the hello thing? Shalom alaikum. There we go. Is that right? Okay, cool. Whew. Nice one. Welcome, my friend. Do you think that the HFs, hedge funds, using crypto for hiding some cash in to pay for each T21 cycle? Yeah, why not? Probably a wee bit of that. We touch of that. We touch of this. We touch of that. Dare say they'd be doing it for other reasons, wee bit more nefarious than that, though, my friend. No, I have no idea. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not authority on these things. This is purely entertainment and educational, and I'm not representative of anything. And these guys, whatever. Yeah, I mean, who knows what they're doing with their taxes and their Monero. Who knows, man? Who knows? Say it's highly unlikely they're doing anything nefarious. Record it and post. We don't get good storms over here. Feel like you guys. We don't get the necessarily don't get the proper ones. I've had better storms elsewhere. It's true. I've had better storms elsewhere in life. Thank you so much to all of the 118 current conviewers, the current conviewers of the show. You are so welcome here. So thank you so much for joining me. that like button is really appreciated. What else though? So we can see here then, right, with what we've learned looking at the previous charts. If you weren't here for that section, it's no big deal. Just kind of looking at crypto from a broad perspective at the monthly close with relationship to the Bollinger Bands, but which of course then implicitly means with relationship to that 20-period weekly moving average, and of course the trend itself and how the prices are able to trace that towards the top side and where they stand at the moment. Here we are back now on the AMC and GME charts. AMC on the right hand side, GME on the left hand side, and we're taking a look at them on the weekly time frame. So what you have on your screens right now is, of course, a white upper line. The prices itself, the green and red candles, of course. So that white upper line, that yellow line, and a white lower line on them, and that's the Bollinger Bands. And the lower and upper line there, the white ones, are two standard deviations of that yellow line, which is the 20-period week, 20-period simple moving average, which is of course 20 weeks of prices of 20 weeks here. 20 weeks, because we're on the weekly time frame. Okay, right, great. And we were also looking at it from a monthly point of view, so we should maybe just kind of look at it just quickly on the monthly and see that this is of course not managing to extend itself very far out of the Bollinger Band, but is absolutely tracing it towards the top side. Quite nice. Everything looking very good here. All fine. We did, of course, push way outside of it at that point, came back down, went almost as far as the 20-period moving average, went towards the top side. Wow, that looks remarkably healthy, having shown you the Bitcoin charts. Just to put things into context, you know, the stuff that, of course, traders themselves will know as well, what is being perhaps overlooked by other people. Oh, look at that from Daniel. Watching you 30 minutes in the past on TV, please tell me there's a wardrobe malfunction between then and now. So, right, puts this in a little bit more of a context for you, doesn't it? A wee bit. Same again here then with AMC, and we were pushing towards the top side. Now we have pushed outside of this on the monthly time frame. Of course, next month with the moving average then going to catch up with this. Prices managing to consolidate up above this area will drag this towards the top side. Thanks, Daniel, again.
Watching you 30 minutes in the past on TV. Please tell me there's a wardrobe malfunction between then and now.
Thanks again. So yeah, so this is going to obviously then average up, isn't it? It's going to move up a bit with this good month, and then any price action which is up here will tempt this towards the top side. And if the prices did drop down the way, that would of course then position the prices most likely within the Bollinger Band. But we could see things tracing broad terms structurally, though. Looking at this, what have I been saying on the channel for the time that I've been talking about this thing here? Essentially is that this has mostly been in this downward trend. We moved past this point here, there was a good value play on, etc. So I do really want to see AMC be able to kind of give that paradigm shift of staying above this area, of course, along a longer time, and really make it that massive opportunity towards the top side. You know, to keep going that way, that would be absolutely fantastic. So what I want to see, but we've just made it there now. You know, we've consolidated above that time frame, good. Consolidate above it, good. Keep going, excellent. Anything similar to this at all towards the top side from here on out would be marvelous, bringing us up towards targets, which then could then trigger other targets higher up, okay? Because it's going to be a case of that. And with regards to GME, tracing it within the Bollinger Bands, you know, not pushing outside of it. So, you know, we have more breathing room here.
South China Morning Post, which is banned in China, posted positive news about BTC. Am now adding them to the Cointelegraph manipulated media.
Cool. Excellent, man. Good thinking, Chris Sweeney. As for manipulated media, it's hard, right? Because media is going to be manipulated one way or the other anyway, right? But of course, that, you know, those types of outlets somewhat more so, right? Somewhat more so. So yeah, looking at this and saying that there's obviously still a lot of value still left on the table here with regards to this, you know, the potential movements. We have come up towards 70 on the RSI, which is of course, you know, scary, wary territory for a lot of people. Looking back the way how this thing has performed, of course, we know it's been, of course, pants for the longest time ever. It would be nice if this actually did have an upward trend. It's been a really bad investment for investors who got in at the start in terms of like just on the chart alone. Of course, look, with share dilutions, etc., that's not necessarily the case, but you can see in terms of just the bottom number value of this thing is obviously moved towards the downside. Then boom, massive change in conditions, lots of headroom up above, and plenty of room to kind of survivably retrace however we like. Now let's just drop this down towards the weekly time frame, and you can see that of course this story is just more the same sort of story with regards to how this could then move next week. We can expect to see the Bollinger Band then, of course, move up the way. I mean, obviously, this week it coming in and closing at around about 18, 19. It just reinforces that story about how 20 will impact the market psychologically over the period of a number of weeks. You know, you can understand, you know, just from a sort of psychological point of view, looking at this from a broader term and understanding where we are in terms of the markets and the psychology and everything that's going on right now, just the how that would of course change the gear in terms of what a lot of people out there think, you know, in terms of where could this thing go. Because I know that obviously a lot of people were looking towards these numbers like 35, etc., looking to take profit. I didn't myself. I've continued to hold because just well because I'm in this with my apes, etc. But I know that a lot of people will have, okay, and that's fine because I can see this from this sort of how in the broader term picture I kind of waiting. There's always a concertina effect with regards to being looking at a longer perspective and kind of anticipating that that there will be ebbs and flows along the way. So that's cool at the minute with that one. Weekly time frame then on the GME charts and showing us that we have had another pullback down towards this 20 simple period moving average, you know, as we previously saw on AMC before moving up the way. Now we've come up towards the top end where the Bollinger Band standard deviation is. But you can see that what we could do if we wanted to is push on up the way again. You know, could push on up the way again, and then the Bollinger Band would the 20 period moving average would take on that really high slope again. You know, looking up going past that sort of 45-degree point. You know, with regards to the sort of the slope on this thing, and it would be pushing the market high. When and then I would anticipate that there could be, of course, big subsequent movements thereafter, etc. If this were to push way outside of it and come back down and revisit it, you know, it would be talking about what would feel like very extreme movements in prices. So I wonder then, therefore, as well, how this could go, but it's looking super positive, right? I mean, that's just how it looks. It looks super positive. There was this big blowing up area over here. We came in, we put in another high in the RSI, which was a previous high in the price action itself, but we haven't actually taken out that high as yet. So this is not bearishly divergent or anything. We're just looking at this and saying, well, we could see the price go up towards that 300, 320 area. Then you get that sort of paradigm shift, and then it becomes like, well, where are we right now? I mean, are we going to pull the trigger, etc., or not? So, you know, this by virtue of the fact that we've just done this outside of what we could think of as being standard deviation points, and then we think about our previous highs, etc., on AMC, is why whenever that person asked me the question earlier on about which one, whatever, you know, I was kind of erring on the side of the GME. But this is again not financial advice, and I'm not actually making time related predictions here. I'm just talking about what's conceivable within the bounds of standard deviations, right? This is purely talking about from a risk management point of view. So I'm not talking about like what you would actually want to do, yada yada. Instead, I'm talking about like if certain things happen, how would they look? And how does that align with what we as traders typically look for? Having followed on from the Bitcoin charts, etc. So, I mean, this is what we're seeing over here with Bitcoin. Obviously, then, we're not seeing that on either of those other two charts, and this is a big pullback at this point here. Quick reminder then to folk, then, when we look back the way and we see the big pullback on GME, how we only came back down to this area before then rising on up the way. Different sort of flavor to that. Very different sort of flavor to that. Bearing in mind as well, in terms of percentage basis, that this movement towards the top side was much larger than anything that ever happened with Volkswagen as well. Much larger, this movement in terms of the price change is bigger. And then, of course, this significance of this in terms of where we are in the markets. worth noting. How's chat getting on? How is chat? Tony, good to see you there. Good to see you, Tony. Congratulations on launching your YouTube channel. For people who are interested, you can check that out on YouTube by I clicking his name, maybe. I'm not too sure. Tony, if you leave a comment down below this video, by the way, or whatever, then maybe people can click your name off the comment, see your channel that way. Not 100% sure, buddy, right? Bottom line is, guy has a YouTube channel. I could get it, right? Okay. I'll end up that far. Text you, let you know, see if you're free. I'm not unsure of the plans yet. Oh, you're doing travel plans. You'll be talking to somebody. You may even be talking to me here. Cool, man. Nice one. Right, nice one. We will make. Oh, Jamie's saying that they're back. Oh, cool, excellent, nice one. Good one. Good one. Good one. Good one. Nice one. Excellent. So let's take a look at some altcoins. Wow, what is that? Wait, you can't see that on your screen. Reminder for folk, this looks really kind of neat, actually, not having seen it since the other day. Let me just drag this over onto the screen that I'm currently using. That was cool, wasn't it, when we did that? Well, I think it was. Sorry. Please excuse me as I kind of geek out at the old sort of the chit chat we did the other day. That was freaking not bad. Tell you, that's what that was. Freaking not bad. That's that guy with his head between the vice. Awesome. Yeah, that was epic. That was. Right. Anyway, sorry, I digress. Let's take a look at Chainlink versus United States dollar. Of course, if you're not familiar with the United States dollar is, that's what Americans use as their cryptocurrency. If you're not familiar with Chainlink use, it is what, if you can imagine cryptocurrency as being like a big bicycle, Chainlink, of course, is the chain. I'm just kidding. What Chainlink does is it tells other cryptocurrencies the prices of other cryptocurrencies. That's just one of the things that it does, right? Which is an interesting idea if you think about decentralized finance and how these things work. Okay, so if you think about, like, for instance, if you had a trustless loan, and what a trustless loan would mean would be if you had there was no requirement for trust. I mean, trust is 100% because it's all taken care of programmatically, etc. So if you were doing something like that, and that you said to somebody, well, I'll lend you this much if you have this much collateral, and you need to know then in a trustless environment what their collateral is worth. And say their collateral was, say, Bitcoin, and you lent them dollars, and you said, I'll lend you $100,000 so long as the price of Bitcoin stays above $30,000, say, for instance. How would you figure that out? Would you use a cryptocurrency like Chainlink, or other oracles are available in the markets? I'm not shilling Chainlink over here, just telling people who might not be familiar with and what. And when people talk about, like, what's the utility of certain things, and you've got this concept of, like, maximalists out there, etc. It's just that's one example of a utility that exists within cryptocurrencies. Now, as you can see here, delete that one. Now, as you can see here, with Chainlink, overall, this thing moves towards the top side. Great. Great. It hasn't actually taken out its most structural lows there with the $12 with its previous pullback. Great. Moved up towards the median line of the Bollinger Band. Groovy. This story speaks for itself. It speaks for itself. I could then go on to then say, well, if we actually do move past this point, then it could end up kind of looking along these sorts of lines. And I'm not pointing on this for any sort of fractal basis or any sort of comparison, like that this will happen because this happened. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that, what you're looking for is just to push on past this middle line and go up towards the top side, yada yada, obviously. So the prices have come up towards the median line of this, and that is, again, a slightly different story to what we were looking at with regards to Bitcoin. Okay, so you got Bitcoin again. I'll just bring that up again so you can see again that we've not done that. So Link, has moved up in terms of its prices relative to, in terms of what its price is now relative to the price that people have paid, or for it to buy it, or indeed have earned as a result of selling it in the past. That's all that's really saying. You don't need to overthink things too much, but perhaps just in terms of, like, looking at this by looking across a few different things, you might become more familiar with it. Not necessarily even asking anybody out there in this chilled TA session to necessarily learn anything. Just looking to see, become more familiar with these concepts. Kind of this follows on a little bit from that chat that I had when we did this. And we've moved up towards that middle line here. So at this point, and then I could go on to say all the different stuff about how that could then react from here. Now, of course, it could pull back, right? It could pull back. So how about we bring up a something else that's kind of just out of over here in Ethereum's point of view or pain. How about we bring up something like a forex pair or something like that, just so we can look at things in a way that'll put a wee bit more perspective on things. I'm thinking to myself, maybe I'd go for like the USD Canadian dollar, just because there's a lot of USD Canadian dollar people in the audience, perhaps. And talk about ideas about how, of course, when you see that you've got some trend and it's pulled back down to the middle line of some area, you want to see that it goes up towards the top side and actually does push on through, naturally, as we've seen in numerous things in the past, without having to then go down and kind of do any sorts of further sort of corrections towards the downside, pushing on up and then keeping its feet above that line, just to kind of show itself, show the world that it is able to do it. It's able to keep up with itself. That we're still on for a decent score. On this. We're still doing all right. And then, of course, we want to see it trace towards the top side like that, like we've seen in the past. Look how beautifully that does it, tracing it up the way. I don't know even if that's even, it does it so well, it's hard to even see the price action on top of the Bollinger Bands. It's beautiful, beautiful stuff. And then, of course, we come up towards this, went down the way, yada, yada, right? So we're at one of those inflection points in this with these. And that represents, of course, an opportunity. Now, there's various different ways of looking at this, but of course, as well, it just jumps out, doesn't it, in terms of how high we've come since the pullback, drawing in a Fibonacci retracement and showing you that, of course, that we're here right between the 50% area and the 618. It's right in at this zone. So, like, just as in a sort of broader perspective, or just a supplemental sort of point of view, just to say that we've come into this area. Now, I could have seen that easier using one of the other channels that we spoke about recently, but it was going to be in around about the same place, given the way that this has been working and the inflection that we've had recently with regards to that. So, I mean, that's not necessarily guaranteed to be the case at all times. So the middle of the Bollinger Band there isn't in at the 50% since its last significant high on this one. It's quite a ways down. It's not even, it's like if you retrace up to the 236, you'd be taking it out. So that isn't, I wasn't just saying that that's where that's going to be, blah, blah, blah. But then looking back over the period of sort of however many 26 candles, etc., wherever. So just going back to there, but before we drop down the way, 50% area is down at this point. So you could see the Donchian channels would have a different area just in there, just as a supplemental to that we were talking about before. Just as a supplemental. So that's where we are with this one. Good opportunity, good. We've done great in many ways. We've done much better than Bitcoin here on Chainlink. In many ways, we've done a lot worse than Ethereum, but we did, we're in an overall similar scenario to Ethereum and Bitcoin, etc. We want the markets overall. We want the markets to move together, so like seeing certain things like Chainlink going back above that zone while Ethereum maintains itself above it could help with sort of the enthusiasm around Bitcoin, or it could lead to an alt season if no additional money comes into the Bitcoin ecosphere and we see the prices of altcoins going up whilst Bitcoin either stays static or whatever. One of the ways to look to that is to look at your open interest figures in Bitcoin. One of the ways of doing that. How's chat getting along? Oh, I'll just stick Tez up. Before we get checking with chat, let's bring up my old pal Tezos. By the way, for people out there wondering, I'm the only dedicated Tezos technical analyst on YouTube. Of course, may have to reassess that overall stance. Tezos is one of these ones then where we're talking about how it's been slightly different to the others, and we've looked at this over the period of the last week. I mean, if you were to look back at the crypto sections from the videos over the last week, you'll see how there's been this chain that we've worked through with regards to comparing these four different cryptocurrencies over the last week and looking at the different nuances between all of them. And yet again, here you can see that Tezos has operated somewhat differently to all three of the others, and we're asking still at this moment in time, could we see more, and then for ones that are operating along this manner, could we see this more rapid contraction back towards the top side? Now, we have obviously experienced that with Link, so my sort of chat and prediction about that last week was accurate, but we're obviously then still seeing the weakness as it's exhibited here on Chainlink with the way that is, and of course as well in terms of the Tezos chart here, having come down the way, we tend to not come all the way down towards the lower end of that. Just put that on linear so that you do actually get some touches on the lower side of the Bollinger Band, just so you can kind of satisfy any sort of OCD scratches that you might have needed to have had there on that chart. But you can see that we do like come down the way there, and that, but it does not necessarily. Oh, look at that! Cheers for becoming a member, buddy. Nice one, pal. Thanks very much. So yeah, so that's cool. Oh, Sanjo Kojak, I got my first dose of the COVID vaccine today. So nice one. I had that there. Cheers. My arm went really sore. Really weird. Not like muscle tear or ligament pain or bone pain. A sort of strangely distributed muscle pain, which and that there. So that's kind of funny. And stiff, but forced myself to move it a bit, and that was good. And then as well, I kind of felt a bit dodgy. Felt like I had the cold. And kind of felt like that all weekend, and then I got drunk the next night. So after that, I can't report on it accurately. SXP, says Chris Sweeney. So yeah, that's where we are with this one. Just looking at it in terms of the monthly closes then instead as well with these two guys, because these haven't had a look in on the monthly, and you can see that it's still in an absolutely outrageously wonderful position. And with the fact that we've come all the way down here and come close enough is close enough, and that's the way I do talk about moving averages, Bollinger Bands, etc. Close enough is close enough. We've come all the way down here and touched this ish, right? Not quite done enough here, and managed to recover to be putting ourselves in a position in terms of the monthly chart to continue what has been an absolutely outrageous trend towards the top side. So then the sort of the scare factor of this one for people was a 68% decline in prices. That's right, a 68% decline in the prices. I'll just say that again. The prices dropped here in this candle 68%. Just for all my AMC and GME fans out there to realize, in terms of like, if you want to kind of, if you're talking about guys out there that are sort of diamond hand holding this sort of thing, shout out to the likes of Northwest Nerd if you happen to watch this section of the show, then the sort of the the pain. Now, with regards to this chart here, we're not actually seeing the Tezos with a good enough history here for us to, a long enough history for us to really make any assessments. Of course, you can make the same point here, and this is good enough. This, even though it doesn't have the full Bollinger Band on there, because we know how this thing's constructed, right? It's constructed using the 20 period moving average. Okay, so this is including all of the information here, and we've got more than one of them, so we can see what slope there is, etc., and we can see where the period, where where the upper and lower band is. Nevertheless, I could show you that on another chart just so you get to see kind of how things look. That one there's got the wrong price and history on it. So you've got this here, looking good, looking great. Okay, so the monthly time frame looking fantastic and everything else. Now it's come all the way down here. It doesn't look anywhere near as good as Chainlink, right? Or Chainlink, yeah, it doesn't look anywhere near as good as Chainlink in terms of this, quite a lot of factors, in terms of the overall retrace up the way, though, is what I was kind of getting at overall. So I don't really mind seeing this if over the period of the next month it has to go to 250, etc. But I'm still curious as to see whether or not we're looking at this potentially coming back up the way, because looking at the sort of, for this to go up to, from where it was now to its previous high during the month is a 68% increase in price, and on this one to go up to where it was during the previous high in the month, 144% increase in price. So you're looking at a distribution of the risk, right? And so you've got these assets that are perceived as being different degrees of risk overall, or perhaps, and some of these ones then, of course, have got different sort of setups for them on the charts there. The likes of Algo, for example, is no different. Whatever. Shout out to Tony who likes this one. Looking at a 95% move towards the top side. I mean, it's obviously radically different in terms of 68% on one, 140 on the other, 90 on this one, but you kind of get the theme that I'm going for. So Band, which is like Link, then if you're looking at sort of a sympathy rise, I suppose, in terms of crypto, what you can see here is that since its low, Link moved up 100%. Since Band came in for its low, it moved up 64%. Okay, so there's that kind of perspective if you're thinking about it from sort of a sympathetic point of view. Now, bearing in mind as well, this is again a slightly different looking chart, with this one having more strength on it than the Link having more strength on it and having had a stronger trend. And then that's kind of when it comes down to that idea of how a trader buys and sells risk, right? And that's your job as a trader. Okay, excellent. You know what? This has been fucking good. It's been good, right? This has been good. Really freaking good. Right? Let's check in with the chat, see how things are going. Let's see how things are going. I don't know. Is there anything else that I need to really chat about? Could take a look at SXP in a second because somebody asked me to. Is Stimmy as good as Cummies? Says the Zig. Couldn't tell you, mate. Yeah, says check it out. Excellent. That's cool. You were talking about audit by Certic coming this week. Stimmy, right? Okay, I see. You like Stimmy? I take it. Says the Zig. Oh, lots of chat in there about that. Right. The Zig chipping in with other sentences. They sound very interesting. Those the Zig, very interesting, I have to say. So yes, TradeSpot and informing about how something wasn't a very big deal as well in there because of, relative to what we're talking about here. That's very true there as well. Need to up your pedigree chum intake, says Sanjay Kojak. Interesting. Is that so I don't get the sore arm after the vaccine? Is that what that would have helped with? I'll need to know that for next time. Nonya Beeswax says, lol. Nice. Succinct comment. Lots of lettuce. So, right, cool, excellent. Everybody's dead happy then. 168 concurrent viewers. Oh my goodness, people tuned in for some of that. Wow, that was cool. That means that some people were getting value out of this discussion, looking at trend across a longer period time frame, giving us a bit of perspective with regards to using these by using the moving averages. Well, just this one moving average, and of course the Bollinger Band around it. Nice one. Broad term analysis. What we're hoping to see is for, of course, the trends to continue, for everything to keep pushing on and pushing on and pushing on up the way. So that's what we're seeing, that there is a potential for all of them to do it with the sort of bit of the old kind of question mark coming in here on Bitcoin. But doesn't it like to screw people? Doesn't it like to screw people over? There's your monthly time frame intimating to you that, of course, you could go all the way back down as low as your previous all-time high from the 2017 bull market, and then you've got your weekly here saying, well, hey, we're in for a bounce. We could go up the way. What happens if we take out 48k, 50k? We're getting back into that territory. Well, we already know. We've talked about this a whole bunch of times. And of course, from the sort of Wyckoff distribution aspect, coming back down here, hitting off these Bollinger Bands again. Well, we can take wicks down there, closing down there, not so good. What do we know if we see a close below $28,602? What would that mean for us in terms of trend right now? Well, it would mean a couple of things. It would mean that we pushed below the Donchian channels, most likely for the very first time in terms of following up since we had this, which was a downtrend. Okay, and you could look at it from the point of view of constituting a correction during an upward trend and look back and say, well, we've actually been in a bull market since December 2018. People who saw the prices coming all the way back down to, from having said that from $3,200, seeing the price come all the way back down to $3,700 might kind of disagree. I tend to talk about the bull market that we've been in since over here in March because, frankly, not taking out that area and recovering so quickly was one of the multitude of reasons for me to be suggesting that, we may well actually be seeing a bigger bull trend begin here, etc. Now, yeah, what was I talking about here? We pushed. Oh, yeah, you could look at that from a sort of looking at that in terms of like the Donchian channels. Although I don't really need to, because I explained all this previously a lot. But seeing the prices closing down below this area would, of course, be a trend. Actually, well, let's just do it. Let's just look at it with the Donchian channels. It's no really big deal. It's just this is a way of visually showing you that about or asking the question about have we changed anything from a market structure point of view with regards to and how have we seen things operate in the past with regards to relative to ourselves in the past. And you can see here that we haven't taken out that lower line and closed below it. Okay, whereas over here, you can see that this very much clearly did happen. And we came down, tested the line, sure enough, moved back up the way it came down, closed below it. Now, that's, from a broad term perspective, worrying. Over here, came down, tested it. Now, if we were to go down and close below 28K, I think that the sort of the example sort of from that in the past can show you what you could be then talking about in terms of changing conditions, right? So there you go, right? There you go. There's your broad term analysis for you, exposing the risks and the clear area. So I suppose really the main question really for anybody that's actually trading Bitcoin at the minute is going to be answered with that one. Okay, that's their main question answered. I realize that's 8K down from where we are, but knowing where the floor would need to be at on this one is very useful, considering that you wouldn't even be positive about this until you'd gone back up 12K higher than we are now. It's good information to have to hand. TradeSpawn, that sounds like a spam bot. Oh wow, really? What did they say? Bloop bloop blop blop bloop. Hot girls or something like that. Purple Duo. Hopefully Rocco doesn't get spammed with bots at the end of the stream like he did on Friday. Yeah, totally. Hopefully not. That was mental. Doing well. A bit soggy, but okay. You good to see you, Kevin. By the way, good to know you're doing well. I'm doing well, by the way. I'll just answer that one. You probably said hi and asked me earlier, and I might have missed it. Eddie Belleville. I've seen that account requesting the same text in another place as well. For what it's worth. Repeating the same text, repeating it. Well, maybe there's somebody to assassinate. Something about playing catch with half a bottle of whiskey. Huh, interesting. Winky a wonky donkey. Is that some kind of horse dog mutant in the charts on the left? Yes, it is. It's a horse dog mutant. Something. It was just pipped to the post by the unicorn for the national animal of Scotland, but we wouldn't choose to put the unicorn in for a fight. It would be between this or Nessie if we ever had to take on America's man bear pig, for example, in a fight. I'd put my money on a horse dog mutant. Who knows though? Who knows? It can go either way. If the fight was in Europe, I'd put money on us for sure. Swag Bucks 13 says, I couldn't buy more today because Memorial Day. Yeah, that's right. That's a lot of people I'm sure have been in that same position. It's the Loch Ness Monster. Yeah, maybe it is the Loch Ness Monster, or maybe it's a giraffe. Cool. How far into this episode are we? I think that it's almost at the point where I could probably, wrap this thing up and say thanks to everybody for tuning in. I'll just give everybody the opportunity to make any requests. We're an hour and 3 minutes into it. That seems like a nice sort of length to me in terms of giving people something to look to. Nice, take an hour, learn a lot about the overall trend and looking at trends and how to understand this sort of stuff, looking across cryptos and stonks. We kind of quick brief look at forex to show us that this type of chat is real in a market that a lot of North Americans would be somewhat casually familiar with, at least, just to kind of make it accessible for folk. I dig these mellow vibes. That's nice that you say that. Well, that's good. Cheers, man. Eddie Belval, possible dip targets for AMC next week. Next week. AMC. I am Rocky Outcrop, calling to you from the last day in May. Tell us, reveal to us now, I command you. What are your price targets for next week? Oh my goodness.
Thank you for great content and thank you TradeSpotting for pointing me this way. Smiley face.
Thank you so much for that donation, Mr. P. Massively appreciated. AMC, where are you going next week? Where are you going, AMC? Tell me. Tell me. Well, wouldn't be surprised to see prices at some point during the week be $25. Ooh, I would expect to see something in around about that prices at some point during the week. Just looking at this from this point of view, what if we saw something like that happen on the Bollinger Bands? Would the prices be able to come back down here? Tell us now. Everybody hold hands. Everybody hold hands. I'll hold that person's hand. You hold that person's hand. Tell us. Tell us. Where are you going? Where are you going, AMC? If we don't hold 25, then we're going down. You'd hope to see 22 come in as support, but then you'd be looking really at the round number of 20, and then real time sort of questions start to get asked in that sort of 18 to 15 zone, where you've got a couple of a sort of liquidity zone with a real sort of, well, actually no, it's not literally liquidity zone, it's the danger area, whatevs. But at the minute, the fact that the prices are above $25, as represented here in the Bollinger Bands here on the 24-hour time frame, you can see just there, as I drew in the next line, how that could be somewhat realistic, and that you could then see the prices happily up and around the $30 area without really changing any of the landscape. A lot of this comes down to, what type of reaction you're going to see to all of this, and lots of other things, like, are we going to trust in all of the other fellow apes out there and the chairman, or well, not the chairman, the board in general, to not sell any shares, etc., blah 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 blah, and kind of all that sort of stuff. And that's what we're hoping for. The fact is, the prices are above 20. That's where we had our last high. Nice round number. Coming down to this zone, would be something. In the recent past, we did come in and kind of come in towards the 20 period moving average. It's still languishing down there at $9.96. So bearing in mind that if we did see things crashing down the way here, then of course, you could be looking at a degree of weakness in this one. But you can remain, happy enough on this one while it's above 9.96, which is remarkable, really. so anyway, so price targets for next week is a case of like, well, your risk management targets for next week are going to be those ones instead. As for the top side, like easily you could be looking up towards $37, $30, $40, etc., maybe even $50 and all that great stuff. And wouldn't it be lovely and nice and everything? I talked about all that earlier on. In terms of this looking like it could be overextended, well, it is at the minute, right? Unless you see that follow through. So when I talked about the importance of consolidation and what it means, talked about it an awful lot of times, or explained it in numerous different ways. Looking back in the future, this could also be considered to be another element in terms of explaining the importance of consolidation and how it works in terms of like if you're looking at it from a certain point of view. So if you were looking at it from a Bollinger Band type of point of view, etc., and that would be that component of it in there. Okay, so that's kind of the closest I'm going to be willing to come in terms of like actually chucking out price targets out there. It's not actually what I didn't do on this channel, to be perfectly honest. Shane McGovern, you're live. Love it. Nice one. Thanks so much. That's my face. I like it. Ty, great show, bro. Thanks. Woo. Excellent. Thanks very much. German markets closed AMC around 30 US dollars. Does this mean anything? Oh, the German markets were trading today, right? And they closed 30. Or are you talking about what they did on Friday? I wonder what the German markets were up to. Could look into it, I suppose, but I'll just ask the chat instead because I'm sure you know. Does this mean anything? No, nothing. No, I mean, it kind of can. But it shows positive. It shows, the willingness to buy it, keep everything floating along nicely. Yep. But it's like when people ask about what does it mean anything when things are pre-market. Well, not only is this pre-market in that sense, but it's also not even in it's a foreign market as well. So it shows positivity. It shows all that good stuff. That's good. Just don't let it convince you that it actually means anything. It's the whole. The lights are on the it's like when the chips are down, blah 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 blah. It's all in the US market, that one, really, in terms of like, if you're going to say anything about what it means, just relatively speaking, it means so little, but yeah, it means a bunch in terms of positivity. That's today while US markets closed. Yeah. Exactly. Because I mean, that's that sort of thing. It's like it's like the whole sort of pre-market market. It's cool. It's everything. It's something which would be easily able. It's open for manipulation. In that sense. Okay, it's open for manipulation. I want to say it's super positive. I do think that we will see positivity and that, I mean, my opinion, I suppose, technically on this is that we're looking at good setups for next week, really across the markets. I have to point out the weakness that exists within crypto, that this different the differences between the main groupings of coins within crypto as well, like I did in today's show. And then I'm also wanting to show the lessons to be learned in terms of overall trend with regards to these looking at the pullbacks, etc., that you can experience along the way, and where significant areas would need to be in relation to looking at GME, and kind of transform, use that knowledge to help people learn stuff, provide context, right, so that it's easier to remember, etc. And things look good, right, because they haven't got into any zones where they've looked bad at. So follow through would be very, very nice. It's obviously overextended at the minute. It depends where we have it. Does it matter? Not necessarily. I mean, that's just one of these things. We're coming into a 4-day weekend and all the rest of it and all that stuff. So bit of sell off and profit taken towards the end of the week. I want to see follow through. I want to see my opinion that it'll happen, but I'm going to just like not even hardly express that one, despite the fact that I want to hold it strongly. I don't even really want to express it so much as in a predictive sense, because I'm just going to see what happens, right? For now. Love the logo, by the way. Yeah, that's cool. To Trade Spawn, yeah, it's looking pretty great there, by the way. It is. I do think so. Anyone buying AMC tomorrow? Yeah, well, there you have it. A lot of people actually are. Payday happened, etc. You know, so lots of reasons to be positive on it. There's tons of reasons to be positive on this one. Bit of follow through gives us even more. Bit of consolidation, absolutely fine. Yeah. In fact, just looking at it from the looking at it from almost any perspective, neutral and above is actually extremely positive. You know, that's essentially what we're talking about. Okay. I can't get my mom's credit card to work right now. Trying to join Rocky as I'm already a member too. Oh man, that's really, 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 really nice of you, man. Dober Mamba. Don't worry too much about any of that sort of stuff. You know, don't worry about too much. Massively, massively appreciated. Massively appreciated. Thought counts an awful lot as well. Cheers, man. Will subscribe once moon. Can only afford one subscription at this moment. Oh man, it's all. Are you talking? You're not even talking. Actually, you are subscribed to me. Oh shit, Shane, you are actually subscribed to me. Well, thanks very much, brother. That's really nice of you. Super appreciated. Yeah, cool. Rocky, you need to update your description to add a join link. I've got one. Oh no, I took it out. Did I? Yeah. That's right. Forgot. Okay. Well, I'll edit the description here in a second on this video. I'll edit the description in a second on a video. Thanks, Tony. Yeah, chatting to each other. Excellent. Nice one. Well, that's great then. I'll do the reverse roll call. You can fling any questions you like in the chat there. I'm not gonna go into any more sort of I don't want to go over trodden ground here to extend the episode out longer so it repeats stuff that's already in it, because it'd be nice to kind of have it crisp and whatever. But if there's anything sort of like missing from it, then cool. Like, let me know about that. Hey, any thoughts on XLM? Be enjoying your insights. So that's cool. We can take a look at that in SXP in the final seconds of the show. Just kind of let people know. Can't wait for these stonks to rip. Yeah, man, totally. Just enjoy growing your hair out. Totally, it's good. I like it. I like it myself. Right, sweet. So we've got two that we'll just have a wee quick look at. That's sweet, and then and we can do the reverse roll call as we go along with that too. Come on, bring up the chart. Right, so we had SXP was one of them. USDT. Oh crud! Oh crud! No, I want the T on the end, please. And the other one was what? XLM. Well, XLM, XRP. I was going to look at XRP in today's show and I didn't. I forgot. There you have it. XLM USDT. So in a sense, actually tell you what, we'll start with that one and I'll bring up XRP on the left. In a sense, you've got, you've seen, sugar. Right, let's bring up XLM on the left. This is Stellar. So for all my sort of crypto initiates out there, you've got Stellar on the left here. You've got XRP on the right. This is the 24-hour time frame on both of them, and these two coins are very similar coins. I appreciate the wrinkles. Oh, you're welcome, Ty. Thanks so much for that. Really do appreciate it. Really do appreciate it. Thank you so much, buddy. Fantastic. So
appreciate the wrinkles, brain.
These are two similar coins in terms of like the sort of what they propose to do. Similar enough. We can see in terms of the Stellar that it's a bit weaker in a sense than XRP, in terms of we've seen this rise up over the last couple of days, bringing us closer to our moving average here than we have done with XLM. Incidentally, as well, both of these, of course, push down past where would have been the Donchian channel low, so that's a bit of weakness in there. So we do need to see these actually take out their median lines and actually push on up the way. So until like Stellar's gone past 53, it's a little bit more worrying. When we get past $1 and up towards that 130-40 area with Ripple, that'll be the next stage. What we've got so far has been a nice and healthy bounce towards the top side. 24-hour time frame, maybe not quite doing that justice in a way. Oh, is that the Donchian channel on the left? Is that why these two actually look different? That is actually correct there in terms of, well, the point I was making when I had that up with regards to the Bollinger Bands was essentially was what I was making with the Donchian channel there. That worked for some more girder juice. Cheers, nice one, excellent. I love a bit of the old iron brew myself. Yeah, so obviously we pushed past our lows. We came down. We're not quite at that 20 period moving average. Would be nice to see. Thanks so much for that.
For some more garter juice.
Could we do it? Yes, we could. Is there the distribution aspect to these charts? Well, there very much is. Is there the divergence? Well, there very much was the whole way along here. As a result, we've come back down, pushed down past. Is that on both of them? Aye. So we pushed past we pushed past our previous low on the way here, and that's, you know, interesting, but we didn't actually push down as far as all of this stuff. And when we compare sort of date wise in the April lows, etc., towards the Bitcoin chart, we didn't actually experience as bad a crushing drop necessarily as that one, and recovering back up towards the round dollar number on Ripple's very good. So then I would hope to then see this will be able to get back up towards that 50 cent area, kind of like chase on the coattails of Ripple. I would hope to see that happen, right? But we have, of course, pushed down the way here quite significantly as a result of having all that bearish divergence. Of course, we then had that swing failure when we took out these lows on our previous lows on the RSI. Looking along to the left, you can see that there were kind of the reluctance to push past these previous lows on the RSI did just happen, okay? But this is where I position the neutral, the negative zone. I kind of push it down just a little bit just to show that we bounced off of that, you know, until we actually take that area out. I'm not going to say that we've got follow through on the negativity. So until we push down past these lows, we don't quite have that follow through, really pushing towards coming in for some, you know, actual change in the perspective on this. At the minute, I look at the zone between, you know, the highs and lows here as being the kind of the oversold zone. So I'm hoping to see this turn around. And then if we did take out the neutrals, etc., along the way here, that would happen at 50. You'd see that resurgent towards the top side there as well. So let's kind of see how the XXP, the swipe chart, lines up as well. You see this drop down, then it happened, pushed down a lot lower than the April lows over there with regards to this. Now, in terms of the Ripple chart and the Stellar chart we're just looking at, I was kind of pointing out the fact that we didn't push that much lower than those April lows. You can see the distinction then to carry that on the way. Of course, this resulted in us ending up in a kind of no man's territory land area in terms of the Bollinger Band. Could we push on down the way? Well, you know, there's nothing amazing jumping out at us here to say that we're not destined for that. Of course, there was the old bit of the old bullish divergence at these lows. Perfect to see it. That means we've got all eyes on whether or not we take out our structural areas. Would be nice to see this one come back up to those April lows, okay, at 288, where we find the middle line of the Bollinger Band. This is one of these ones which is a little bit more hampered, damaged, etc., suffered a bit more, therefore more weakness in there. Bit more of the hype one, you know, want to see it move up the way, want to see it taking out these areas. It could contract faster, could get better gains as a result. You know, looking at how far we dropped down the way from that high up there at $6 essentially, came all the way down to 132. Made it up as high as 243. Pop this up to the monthly chart just so you can see, you know, in terms of some of the things that we've talked about in today's show so far. This one here suffered in terms of a drop down the way, a 76% drop. Then in terms of how much it's climbed back up the way since, it's actually gone up 50%. So, you know, suffered somewhat more, recovered somewhat less. General mantras to have: the strong get stronger, the weak get weaker. The question mark over this disparity in the crypto markets right now for us, what as it stands, is, are we about to see that actually happen? If we get follow through towards the downside on some of these weaker ones, well, that's kind of answering that question for us. Inverse of that, of course, is that if things do contract and rise back towards the top side, and when I say contract, I meant in terms of the expansion of the negativity. Of course, from an economic point of view, that's another one of these overlapping words. Contraction, of course, is the negative side. So what we want to see is an expansion in the markets, right? And the prices expanding back up the way. But what I really meant was in terms of the divergence between the headline coins like Bitcoin and Ethereum and these other sort of outlier coins, how that expanded away from each other and diverged. And I wanted to see that contract back together, of course, resulting in an expansion of those market caps. Anyway, don't want to get too esoteric on it, but that's what I'm talking about, and I want to see that happen with regards to these coins that are weaker, of course, or else we are back answering that question that the old adage is true, that of course the strong get stronger, the weak get weaker. So, you know, formerly strongly operating becoming weak ones. Well, right, okay, so with that being said, I really appreciate you all for tuning in. We've got the likes of D. Harker in here commenting in the show today. A great guy. You got Nunya Beeswax. Thanks so much for commenting. 88 Den, thanks so much for being here this evening with me. Rish London. Thanks very much. AMC is going to be hype this week. I imagine it probably will, but we'll have to see how things go. Of course, we're well armed, knowing the longer term perspective on things. We can absolutely pivot ourselves accordingly whenever we want to when the market's fed. Not sure I'm ready for the excitement. Excellent. Good to see you here this evening. Purple Dino as well. You've been great in the chat as ever as well. Harley Hellcat, thanks so much. Nobody's is well here as well. Nobody's Ed, nobody's. And just other ones that didn't get the shout out from me, you know, Apple Blossom as ever, an absolute star. Thank you so much for being here, lovely Kellen. So yes, and as well we have who else actually in here? Eddie, I think I said your name. Kim, yes, as well, the wonderful Kim. Thanks so much. Fluttershy, thanks for tuning in as well. Good to have you here. Chris Sweeney as well. Does free trade stock link still work in the UK? Yes, it does. The free trade stock link, which I have in my description, does give you a free stock if you're in the UK. Absolutely, might as well just grab it. It's my opinion, but I don't tend not to, you know, I'm not going to hard sell any of this. Mika Monty, lovely to have you here with your beautiful dogs in the Discord. Mika Monty, hi Mika, hi Monty, if you're watching along as well. Get in there and share pictures of your own pets, everybody, if you haven't done already. Yes, that's part of our community now as well. Black Moradin, thanks. So I wonder what that's a reference to. Black Moradin, are you a Wheel of Time fan, my friend? Are you? Would be awesome if you're a Wheel of Time fan. Nice. Get that. Check that out. Rocky Outcrop. What? You're a Wheel of Time fan as well? What? That's right, bro. You made it to the right place. This is technical analysis for you. Yeah. Be sure to say hi to Horn Hunter if you ever see him in there. Kevin, thanks so much for tuning in. And you know, Ollie is Tony, for example, great guy. Dober Mamba, thank you so much. And I'm gonna have to actually, wait a minute, what was I thinking there? Should have brought up my my old credits there, and I'll spin the old credits up. Spin the old credits up, my friend. Roly. Yeah, and then that's a good way to give everybody the appropriate shout-outs. Yes, thanks for watching and all of that. Susie Chi, Daniel, Chris, Mr. P, Ty, D. Harker, thanks so much for your super chats during today's show. Black Lorden, I'm a huge Wheel of Time fan. There you have it, matey. Check it out. You have arrived home. This is the Technical Analysis channel for you, my friend. That's it. That's right. You, of course, recognize me from the Wheel of Time. I feature in every single story in the Wheel of Time, like every third page or so. I love it. I love listening to the audiobook version of the Wheel of Time. And Rand stepped up to a rocky outcrop. Yes, that's me, and made it, got a Menchie. They're always on their rocky outcrops in that series. Right, okay, much love, every woot, we're reversing the 1%, laugh like fuck. Let's see if she says that. Will she read it properly or not? I can say thanks very much to Kundan, Tingzi, Trey, Dando, Bizimin, Fruity, Hassan, Vimala, Roadside Revolution 2020, Hash Brown, Greg Walters, Ertaza, Nazir, Savage, Gregory, and for subscribing.
We are reversing the one laugh like fuck.
There you have it. She said it. Well, there you go. Crack the system. And of course, cheers massively to Alpa Graba for becoming a member. Much love, everybody. I'll see you next time.